Sylvester Stallone appeared on The View that morning expecting the usual routine, some promotion for his latest film, a few jokes about aging action heroes, and maybe even a quick nod to his Rocky legacy. Dressed in a sharp navy blazer and a confident smile, he walked onto the set to a standing ovation. The audience, packed with longtime fans, erupted into cheers as Stallone shook hands with the hosts and took his seat at the center of the panel. At first, everything went smoothly. Whoopi Goldberg welcomed him warmly, asking about his career longevity and what kept him coming back to the big screen. Stallone responded with charm and humility. "I love telling stories, and I still feel like there's more to say. You don't stop being a fighter just because you hit a certain age," he said, prompting applause. He shared anecdotes about training for his new film, laughing about how much longer it takes him to recover from stunts than it did in his Rocky 4 days. But the energy began to shift when Joy Behar, known for her sharp tongue and direct questions, leaned in with a loaded smile. "So Sly, you've had your share of drama, not just on the screen, but off it too. Let's talk about the dog thing. Jennifer almost divorced you over a Rottweiler, right?" The audience let out a collective murmur. Stallone blinked, clearly taken aback. "Joy," he said slowly, "that was 2 years ago. My wife and I are solid. We worked through things like adults. That's personal." Joy nodded, but there was a glint in her eye. "But don't you think the public deserves to see the real man behind the muscles? You've always been a symbol of strength, but is that just an act? I mean, there are rumors you're tough to work with. Control issues on set, especially with directors who don't let you call the shots. Care to comment?" Stallone's demeanor changed. The smile faded, replaced by a steely calm. "I've worked in this industry for 5 decades. Of course I have a vision. That doesn't make me difficult. It makes me committed. And I didn't come here to defend myself against gossip." The tension in the studio was palpable. Sonny Hostin glanced nervously at Whoopi, who shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable with the direction the conversation had taken. But Joy wasn't done. She pressed on. "Well, don't you think maybe this new film, great as it might be, is just you trying to chase the past? Some people say you're clinging to the 80s glory days. Trying to stay relevant. Is that fair?" The room fell silent. Stallone slowly stood up, took a deep breath, and adjusted the microphone clipped to his shirt. "I've done a lot of interviews. I've sat across from people who respect what it means to work hard, to evolve, to keep pushing forward. This isn't one of those interviews." Joy tried to interject, "Sly, I'm just..." But he held up a hand. "You want drama? Go watch a movie. I came here to talk about a film, not to defend my marriage or justify my career to someone who's clearly not interested in listening." He turned to Whoopi, who gave him a small, apologetic nod. Without looking back at the rest of the panel, Stallone walked off the set, his footsteps echoing in the stunned silence that followed. For a moment, no one spoke. The camera panned awkwardly across the panel. Joy gave a shrug and forced a chuckle. "Well, looks like I hit a nerve." But the audience wasn't laughing. Some booed. Others just looked shocked. Whoopi finally broke the silence with a simple, firm, "We'll be right back," before cutting to commercial. Backstage, producers were in chaos. Stallone's publicist was furious. Crew members stood frozen. And social media, it was already on fire. The clip of Stallone rising from his seat and calmly walking out had been screen recorded, reposted, and dissected from every angle within minutes. And the conversation was only just beginning. Backstage chaos erupted the moment Sylvester Stallone walked off the View set. Producers rushed to intercept him, but Stallone was calm, composed, and clearly done. He politely declined interviews, waved off handlers, and headed straight for the exit. His publicist followed closely, her phone already buzzing with media inquiries. Outside, paparazzi swarmed like bees, cameras flashing as Stallone slid into a black SUV, leaving behind a studio still reeling from the unexpected drama. Meanwhile, inside the studio, the panel scrambled to pick up the pieces. The commercial break had done little to cool the tension. Joy Behar sat unfazed, sipping water and smirking slightly, as if the entire moment had gone exactly as planned. "What?" she asked the room, shrugging her shoulders. I asked real questions. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? But her co-hosts weren't as amused. Whoopi Goldberg was clearly furious. When they returned from commercial, she addressed the audience with an uncharacteristic edge in her voice. We bring guests on this show to have a conversation, not to blindside them. Let's be clear, what just happened was not how we do things here. Her words drew thunderous applause from the live audience, many of whom had been Stallone fans expecting a fun, nostalgic interview, not an ambush. Social media ignited. Within the hour, hashtags like #StalloneWalksOut, #ViewMeltdown, and #TeamSly were trending across platforms. Clips of the walkout were shared by entertainment accounts, with commentary split between defending Stallone and criticizing Behar. One fan tweeted, "Joy Behar just ruined a National Treasures interview. Stallone showed class. She showed ego." Another posted, "He didn't storm out. He walked out, with dignity. Respect." Others, however, defended Behar, claiming she was just doing her job. A few media personalities chimed in, calling her questions bold and fearless journalism. But even among Behar's usual defenders, some admitted she may have crossed a line. What made the moment resonate wasn't just the walkout, it was Stallone's restraint. There was no yelling, no theatrics. Just a man who refused to be baited. Later that day, Stallone broke his silence with a brief Instagram video, filmed in what looked like his home gym. Wearing a gray hoodie and standing in front of a row of vintage movie posters, he looked into the camera with the calm authority of a man who's seen it all. "Hey everyone," he began. "I want to say thank you to those who've reached out today. Look, I've been in this business for over 50 years. I've answered every kind of question you can imagine. But there's a line between curiosity and disrespect. I came on that show to talk about my film, to connect with fans, and to maybe inspire a few people out there. But when someone keeps poking at your family, your character, and tries to reduce your entire life to gossip, I'm not playing that game. Never have, never will." The video ended with him raising a fist, Rocky style, and a quick message, "Know your worth. Don't let anyone rewrite your story." That short message racked up millions of views in hours. Celebrities flooded the comments. Arnold Schwarzenegger wrote, "Class act as always, Sly." Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson posted, "Legend. Period." Even Oprah chimed in with, "When you walk away with dignity, the world walks with you." Meanwhile, the View producers were in full damage control mode. Internally, a heated debate had broken out over whether Joy Behar had been warned ahead of time to steer the interview toward the film. A leaked email later suggested that producers had specifically asked the panel to keep questions professional, citing Stallone's reluctance to delve into personal matters during press appearances. The following morning, Joy Behar addressed the controversy on air. "I asked tough questions, yes. Maybe I was too blunt. If Sly felt disrespected, that wasn't my intention. But I stand by the idea that public figures should be open to public scrutiny." Her half-apology didn't land well. Viewers were still flooding ABC's inboxes demanding an official apology. Some even called for her suspension. The fallout lasted for days. Stallone's movie, ironically, received a major boost. Pre-sales jumped, and streaming platforms reported a spike in searches for his previous work. Interviews he had previously recorded on other shows were re-aired with new interest, as people looked for more moments of the real Stallone. But the lasting legacy of the incident wasn't just a viral walkout. It was a reminder that not all confrontations end in shouting matches. Sometimes, walking away says more than words ever could. And as one Twitter user so perfectly put it, Sylvester Stallone didn't walk off in shame. He walked off in strength. And that's why he's still a legend.